Lahaina's burning. I was like, what? No.
And he got out just in time.
Wow,
but
so
I
just
think-
before it started.
Yeah.
Man. What's up, guys? Today we have special guest, Justo and Karen Patagi. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you for having us.
Dude, so you guys were in the Lahaina area. You guys had a fix and flip turned rental inside Lahaina right before the fires.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fires wiped that out. Like, dude, first of all, I'm really sorry to hear that, but tell me the story.
Oh man, crazy. Go ahead. You want to tell that story?
Sure. So we first acquired that property from my husband. It was a referral, actually.
Okay.
And
so
then,
you guys flip houses,
Mm-hmm.
you own rentals, you're kind of like real estate investors on Maui, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got that deal from my husband. It was a referral, and it was really run down.
Okay. When you say really run down, what do
I
you
mean, boss. I mean, the house was like trash.
Okay.
But
Everything.
it was.
I mean,
It was surprising because there's somebody was still living in it.
Oh yeah. It's crazy a lot of times when we find these houses where how bad the condition is, but somebody is actually living there. I think sometimes they just get used to like just normal, and over time it's like a slow fade until like it gets worse and worse until that is just normal for them, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. So in the house, trash was to the ceiling.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Every single room, and it was really bad where he couldn't even open the front door.
I had to
Into
crawl
the
in.
house.
I had to-
Really?
yeah, I had to jump in. I had to crawl in.
And he had
to
to
the
like
top, all the way.
he had to like move trash to make a pathway
Wow.
into the
Crazy.
house.
was
Crazy.
major.
It's like, so when you see a house like that, like it's from kind of from like almost like the movies. Like, how is it even possible to be living in like in a house like that? you
Right.
know?
So I actually talked to the neighbors, and they said that in order to have, because the person was really old,
Yeah.
and then they had to bring in like ambulance
handyman
service.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff,
So
yeah.
they had to actually remove all the trash, but for some odd reason he started to bring trash back in, and then their family was really concerned, so they called us, or they actually contacted me because
Yeah.
they knew I was flipping houses already.
Okay.
They contacted me and they said, you know what, we want to sell the property. We just want to keep our uncle in the Halimakua. So we went in, we talked, and I just asked them, oh, you want to just sell it? I'll make you guys an offer
Yeah.
right
Like
now.
a cash offer.
Cash offer. And they said, you know what, let's just wait till they get the appraisal. They said, you know what, I'll make you an offer right now at 260.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, okay. And
That was easy.
And then that was it. And then everything was history. So they had the uncle sign in, and everything else was like right down to the middle where we signed everything out, and it was just
Nice. Easy transaction.
yes.
Cash. Like obviously no inspection.
Yes.
Or, like,
Actually, we had like a big challenge in the middle as well.
okay.
We had to hire lawyers and whatnot, because at the end of the day, when we were close to signing, I guess the caretaker had a realtor friend
Okay.
that came in the middle and
Oh,
said,
yeah.
hey, I heard you're selling this house and this and that. So it was very unethical for the other realtor. So he got fed things that he wasn't supposed to. I mean, from all
yeah.
that. So he didn't want to sign after. We're
After
at
talking to
closing.
the realtor.
After talking
I
to
see,
the realtor,
I
he didn't
see.
want to sign on whatever.
Yeah.
So it was very challenging because he didn't want to sign at the closing table.
Yeah. Wow.
So after that, we had to hire lawyers and everything. It was a big mess towards the end.
Wow. Yeah.
And then it sat, actually.
but the appraisal came in, and
Okay.
it came in at 260.
Okay.
Yeah, so they sold them to us anyway at
Yeah,
260,
yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
it was a mess.
It was a mess. So it took a while for us to get everything settled, and cost a lot of money for lawyers, right? And all that. So they served him papers, and it was almost a forced sale,
Wow.
because they attempted 3 times to get his signature and whatnot, because everything was escrow, everything was done.
I see.
And then the other realtor actually put it on the market.
In
contract.
We're in contract, but she put it on the market.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
I mean, it's so sad. I feel like this is what kind of gives some realtors like a bad name or bad vibe is. It's they kind of overstep their bounds, or they do some shady things, and like there's like 99% of realtors, I think, and investors are great people. They do the right things, but it's like that 1% where it makes everybody, it tarnishes the whole industry,
Right. Yeah. So that was a learning
crazy.
lesson for us as well.
So you guys closed in the house
We closed in
at
the
260, and it was all, you said it was all bust. So
Bust.
trash to the ceiling.
Major.
What did like the rehab cost look like for that guy?
The whole I think we was all in at 500, right?
Okay.
550. I think 550 after because
Okay.
we cemented and
Okay.
we put drivers
Okay.
in.
So about like
about 550.
300 grand in like renovations.
Just about.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, and then how big was the house?
It was little over 1,500 square feet.
Okay, okay. So small,
Living
relatively
area.
Small
smaller
house,
house,
yeah.
for so 300,000 a small for 1,500 is almost like a brand new house, basically.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
brand-
it was,
a brand
it
new
was,
house.
everything was brand new. Yeah, we for some odd reason our contractor just took out the whole entire project. I mean the whole thing.
What
But
you
he,
mean?
he
But
left one wall.
Oh, okay. So
on
it
both
wasn't like a
sides.
full ground of construction. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just left. I think was had
Like-
like one
like-
L
like-
L shape of one
A wall.
hollow brick tile. He left everything. He took out everything and he just left that. And he's like, don't worry, we got this because he teaches the contractor that we hired. He
Yeah.
teaches for UH.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, we're good. I'm good.
I mean, so that's one of the, there's a lot of small hacks that you can go when you're doing like in investing space, especially if you know the right people who know how to do it. And so
Correct.
in this case, if you guys wiped down that one wall, it would have been a new construction, which goes through a way different permitting process, right? But
Correct.
because you kept one wall up, now it was like a renovation, addition, alteration, right? So like
Correct.
that's a completely different process. And so if your contractor didn't know that, then it would have been like a lot longer holding time, a lot more paperwork, a lot more headache to go through, right?
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. And that was our first time that we did that. So I was super nervous about it because of that. He's all in. But
Yeah.
for me, I'm the one that kind of looks at everything and a strategic and analytical standpoint.
yeah. So you're like it's like you guys have like a good pairing together. Like you're more the analytical. You're kind of just to go because there's like a yin and a yang, right? Like there's no someone needs to push and like have very optimistic, and then someone needs to kind of like okay, let's hold back, let's check things, and make sure we're not going too fast, right? So
Right. Yeah.
I'm all in, and I gotta have somebody to hold my hand. Oh, you gotta hold on here.
I think that's the biggest challenge is working with the other half.
yeah.
Because sometimes we're not on the same page,
Uh-huh.
and he's all in. I'm like, wait a minute, wait a minute. So I'm the I overanalyze.
Just checking the balance, right?
Yeah,
Really.
exactly.
I don't think we're always on the same page. We're never on the same page until the ending.
And then when we look back, we're like, oh, was that it? You know?
I feel like during the journey, it's always like it feels harder during the moment, but when you look back on the end, you forget how hard it was. It's just like, oh, it wasn't so bad, even though you like during that time you're stressed out and you like kind of things. But when you look back, as long as you had a success at the end, you're like, it wasn't so bad. You know?
Right.
And we're like, oh, let's do it again. And in the middle of the transaction, you know, I'm not gonna do this anymore, and all that stress comes out.
It's like drinking like the night before or something, right? Like you wake up with a hangover and you're like, I hate drinking. I'm never gonna drink ever, touch alcohol ever again. And then like one day later, you're like, let's go back out again. You know?
We forget those things.
Yeah.
So you put about 550 total, 300 in the renovation, 260 on the purchase. Did you guys use hard money? Did you use your own money? How did you finance it?
Well, we did cash for the initial acquisitions.
So you guys had like just cash sitting? Did you use private money lenders? What did you guys use for that?
No, we use our own.
We use our own,
Okay.
and then after for the gap for everything else, we have private money lenders.
Private money.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's a combination of your cash and private money lenders.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no hard money in this
No.
case.
No,
Okay.
no hard money.
So then you guys put in, it's all 550. What was the next? Did you guys sell it? What was the
No,
next step?
we kept it. We had
Okay.
3 rentals on it. So we had a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and then we had 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and then we had a 1-bedroom, 1 bath on the same property.
All for in 1,500 square feet?
Yes.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah. We
left-
made it
We
work.
left it the same.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then
okay.
the
So it's
rent-
almost like a little triplex in that case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if he enclosed the garage.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And so this becomes like a rental for you guys now.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
We thought about flipping it, but we're like, no, we're in Lahaina. We're in central Lahaina.
Yeah,
we're-
you know,
this is
just
gold.
thinking-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gold. So we're thinking, no, let's just keep it.
Yeah,
See
that
where
was
it
great.
takes us.
So what did you guys do a cash out refinance? What did you guys do at that point?
We did a cash out refinance.
Okay.
Of course, we left some equity in there just
Okay.
in case for future.
What did it appraise for?
It appraised for 1.1.
1.1 million.
1 mil.
So you guys bought it for 260, you put in 300, you're all in at 550, and it appraised for 1.1 million.
Yeah.
Right.
Congratulations.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
it's kind of crazy. Like at least when I was like W2 worker, right? I made like 80 grand a year ish around there. Like later I made a little bit more, but basically like the concept of making, let's say like $500,000 at one crack, it literally like, it's like inconceivable from a W2 worker. Like, you know, especially if you're making, let's say like 20 or 50 grand a year, like to make 500 grand basically in one transaction, it's crazy. But whenever I talk to real estate investors, I feel like everybody in Hawaii has like that one $500,000 story, you know, like it's kind of like more common than you think, especially in Hawaii.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. And it's life changing. Real estate is life changing, definitely.
So
It's a lot
it
of work.
appraised for 1.1 million. You guys, how much cash out did you guys pull?
We pulled out probably
300.
about 300.
Yeah, about
So like 800 ish. I mean, like total. I mean, like
Yeah, yeah,
So like
yeah.
and then so like then you had a mortgage on it.
Had a
Yeah.
mortgage, yeah. So we wanted to make sure the mortgage can fit our numbers
Okay,
and
okay.
still cash flow.
Yeah.
So positive.
Yeah,
Which
positive
is so
cash
hard to
flow.
do in Hawaii. So it's a miracle that you guys actually got. You guys basically did a burr in Hawaii.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, we did.
So you did. You got. I'll put all you put money in. You got all your money back out plus extra.
Yeah, and we paid all of our lenders.
Yeah,
as well.
and then you. What was like the monthly rental total on that property?
9100.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, nice.
9100.
And then your mortgage was.
5.
That's a good. That's like a good. Those are good numbers. Like
Yeah.
$5,000 for your mortgage, 100 for your rent. There's a big spread for capex maintenance, but plus it's brand new, so you're not gonna have as much of that in the, especially in the
correct.
beginning, right? And
Right.
then
Correct.
if you did you have like a property manager? Did you like manage it yourself?
Really?
I manage it myself.
Property manager.
But
The
that's the
all-in-one.
best, yeah. As
Right.
long as you don't have like a few, like
Right.
it's not a big deal, right?
Yeah,
It's
right
just-
now it's okay. So I had to find a system to manage that. So we use Turbo Tenant. So that has helped me a lot.
Nice.
And then of course I'm a realtor as well, so I'm kind of know how to work it.
Yeah, you
Right.
know the system and you know like kind of the procedures and everything.
Right, right.
So, but unfortunately, the Lahaina fires happened, which is crazy. So, what happened to the house?
That's a crazy story because we had our last tenant that was
Okay.
renting our last 1 bedroom, one bath.
Okay.
He just moved in. Our family just moved in August 1st. The fire started at August 8th.
Wow. So he just moved in.
He just moved in. Yeah. So we.
And I kind of feel bad too because English is their second language.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they were just settling in. They're from Japan, and they were just settling in. I couldn't figure out things, you know. So it's kind of crazy too because the day of the fire, because they just moved in, they wanted him to see if he could help them with appliances because they couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he was actually at
I was actually at the
house
property,
on that
yeah.
day of
When the fire was
fires.
going on.
Yeah.
So give us the what?
I had a phone call about 2 something.
Okay.
And Maui said, "Oh, can you go down to the property and check on the 1 bedroom because they cannot figure out the stove?" And I was like, "Really?"
And he was working in Lahaina.
I was
so
already in
stop by.
Lahaina, so I was like, okay, I'll stop by. But that day, the wind was really crazy already, and the poles was already down. So I made my way towards our property, and as soon as we walked in, I showed them, this is how it's done. Explained everything out. Then the tenant said, I think we should just continue tomorrow because the winds are too strong. As soon as he said that, and we walked out, the one big branch of mango tree went right on top of his vehicle.
Oh, really?
Yes, and then I left. I left about 3:15, and she called me when I was coming out because I couldn't get out.
And then, mind you, I didn't know it was going on because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was on the other side of the island, and the weather was perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
No
wow.
wind, sunny, and everything. And we live in Wailuku, and he was in Lahaina on the other side of town.
Yeah, I was
So
I was
had no idea.
I was getting out of Lahaina, but I was taking all the back roads, and at the same time taking the back roads, a roof flew over, like
Your car?
not my car, but like just flew over on
All the
another
debris.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all the
wow.
debris on
So
another
you saw a
property.
whole roof just fly across the road?
Not
or-
half of the roof.
Okay.
Yeah, half of the roof and flew off, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I gotta get out of here. So I took all the back roads, went out, and then all of a sudden she called me about 3:30, I think it was.
I told him I saw on the news.
Yeah.
He said Lahaina's burning. I was like, what? No.
Yeah, he got out just in time.
Wow.
'cause
So
I
just
think
before it started.
Yeah.
then.
And I was like, that's crazy.
you got out like what, about almost 4, right?
Yeah, about that.
And everything else
Yeah.
just went chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And
And just to think, he could have been in that
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. So all your
And-
tenants got out okay though?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they
good.
did.
Yeah,
they
that-
did.
that
But
was-
there
that-
no reception too. so
Yeah, that
we
was our
couldn't get
major.
ahold
That
of
was
them.
our major concern because we were like no reception for like 3 or 4 days, and we were just concerned like, oh, are they safe?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we kind of like after everything was kind of like settled in, I told my wife, can you do a GoFundMe? So let's give them whatever we have. Let's give them and help them out and see if they need help. Then let's help them out. So the tenants that was living in the 3-bedroom house, I think they moved back to
They went back to Seattle.
they moved back to Seattle, and the one that was living in the 2-bedroom house, the company gave her a place to stay. But we was more concerned about the last
Japanese
tenant,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
Japanese
we
one.
didn't know they had a young kid, and
Yeah. Wow.
it was like, I hope everything was okay, and I couldn't sleep for like that 2 days because like they just moved in.
Just watching the news, I'm like, we just fixed the house. I hope that it's.
I mean, it's
there,
two things, right? Like,
but
there's a human like that you care about, but also, I mean, like all your hard work. So, when did you actually finish completing the renovation?
That was July.
So July of
2023.
So in July 2023, you finished the renovation, like brand new, $300,000, huge, like giant, from like basically from garbage into like very nice. And then in August,
that's
then
when the
fire came, and then was there anything left of the house?
Nothing.
So crazy.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Not even a mango. Not even the big mango tree that was standing in the back. Nothing.
So what's kind of going through your guys' mind when this is happening?
Oh, it was a very sad moment at the same time.
Yeah, kind of emotional.
Emotional. And I actually never stepped on property until like 4 months after.
Really?
Because I only got pictures and videos from neighbors and whoever was there. But we were trying to figure things out. So we tried to get as much government help as we can. But of course, the real estate investors didn't qualify for anything, right?
Yeah.
So insurance didn't even pay. Insurance paid out only like half of what it was. So we're out.
But did you guys actually get like insurance money?
We got insurance money, but it wasn't enough because it didn't give us enough time to reanalyze the insurance because of the renovations, right? So it wasn't.
So you didn't do like you didn't get a new appraised value.
Yeah, we just got the minimum.
We just got the minimum in the beginning, and then our plan was to redo the insurance to get the value of whatever is insured for. But that never happened. And we tried, FEMA and everything else, and we couldn't get anything. No help whatsoever. So we still have a mortgage till today.
So the mortgage is still on. Is it like suspended? Or are you guys
No, nothing at all.
So you still got to pay that monthly
mortgage.
Yeah. That's so like, I mean, that's so tough, man.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, very tough.
So I mean, let me get this straight. So you guys bought the house, you put like a ton of your own money and PML into it to build it up, make it nice. Then they got a lot nicer. You found some tenants, did us a little bit, get a cash out refinance for a mortgage. And then when it burned down, now the mortgage is in place and you still have to pay it even though like there's no income or there's no there's no house to even live in.
Correct.
Right,
yeah.
Is there any kind of program or any kind of recourse for people like other than that you can do?
I tried to research everything and whatnot, and we didn't get any assistance with that.
I think it's just because of the title of a real estate investor. Yeah, because I was like
they asked for every little detail of your finances.
For the insurance or for FEMA?
For
FEMA.
Both. Yeah,
for both, right? Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So we hired an attorney to help us get through it, but it's not overnight. So we're still going through all that right now.
So you're still kind of like going through everything right now.
Right.
So,
yeah. Everything. They want to know what was in the house, this and that. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But we actually.
But at least we just fixed it. So I kind of had all the receipts and all the detailed stuff. Other than that, it was. They asked for everything.
But on a good note, we started doing the foundation.
We started.
Yeah, they started digging. A couple weeks ago.
About the house?
Yeah.
So like we basically rebuilding.
We're gonna rebuild. Yeah.
Are you allowed to just kind of like? I mean, is there like a moratorium on building, or like is just anybody can just go back in and start rebuilding?
No, so we had to get our permits. Everything now is done with.
There was a special program at the county. They hired people to get the permits out quicker.
Okay.
So we got our permits in like 2 months.
Okay, and then like the roads and everything, is that like repaired and stuff, or how does that work?
Not really, but everything is paved.
Like, so you got like water and like
there's
sewer
on the
and
water. We
like
have new electric lines
and
on our property. Yeah, and then every single home they had
gravel.
Gravel, gravel, I should say.
Just to kind of like get a foundation for everybody to make it flat.
I guess because they put the gravel is because without it would be like really dusty because everything. I see. So just to keep everything
hold the dust down and
correct.
kind of like make it level for everybody.
Yeah, and you can't tell if they don't put the gravel. You can't tell. I mean, it's hard for me to tell which is our property. If there wasn't a sign there with the address, it's hard to tell.
So you guys are you planning to rebuild?
Yeah,
like
we're planning to rebuild.
Same footprint, different footprint.
No.
What do you guys?
No, different.
Even bigger.
Yeah, we went bigger.
You might as well, right? Like when you start
well.
from scratch, you might as well. So.
Yeah, we did. We went bigger and we kind of set it back a little more back to have more parking in front.
Are you guys planning to keep it as a rental, live in there? What's kind of like your thought process?
Rental.
Okay.
Because we believe once Lahaina gets up
back
and running and all the development keeps coming back, I think it's going to be worth more than what it is today. And rental overall is very scarce. Yeah.
In Maui in general.
Yeah, in
right?
Maui, inventory is
Crazy.
hoping for the
Crazy.
best.
No, I mean it's crazy. I mean but that's like it's like the highs and lows of the whole journey, right? Because you guys buy the house, it's in terrible shape. You know, like there's trash to the ceiling. You get in there, then like you do the full renovation, like the lows, the highs. Then like you do a cash refinance, it burns down. Now you start to rebuild. In 3 or 4 years, when you have the new house, it'll be another high, right? So there's like this constant peaks and valleys of being like a real estate investor.
Yep. We're in it for the long haul.
Yep.
How did you guys get started? So were you guys flipping for like a long time, or when did you guys get started? How did you get started?
We got started in 2018.
Okay.
Prior to that, we were coaches, wealth coaches for One Financial.
Okay.
So that's where it all started.
With Kelly?
Alan Aquina?
Oh yeah.
Alan Aquina. Alan Aquina, yeah. So he always taught us about real estate and all that, but we didn't know how to make it happen. So long story short, I was a banker too prior to we became
banker. You mean what kind of like position in the bank were you?
Banker, I was all of the above. I was a teller, I was a loan officer,
Okay.
I used to lend and all that. So I'm I'm a numbers person.
So you're very familiar with like the banking and financial world.
Oh yes, I used to be an underwriter as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, I used to underwrite.
So you have like a
loans.
really interesting perspective on just like the whole industry in general, because you've seen both sides, right? You've been an investor on the investor side, but you also been on the back and underwriting side. So you kind of like see like everybody's point of view here.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think that was the whole purpose of our journey to know the back end of it, because I can flip my hats. I wear many hats. I can flip it. Which either way.
You're you're like Wonder Woman, right? Because you're realtor, property
Superwoman,
manager,
Yep.
You're like loan officer, banker, underwriter, investor. Like wow. So you were coaches in One Financial, and then how did you get started into like real estate or flipping houses?
I think I was more of I always had that passion of learning.
Yeah.
And I was always pushing her. Okay, it's fortune builders. Let's check this out.
Yeah.
So we used to come to the presentations in Oahu, and then we were like, maybe not. But I always had the passion of. Yeah. But I didn't have like the.
We didn't have the mindset at that time.
The mindset.
Because I was very close-minded.
Yeah.
He was very open-minded. For me, I'm like no.
Yeah, everything is no, and for me, I was like, there's no such thing as no. I don't believe in no. There's no such thing as no.
What to do all this? We hardly had any savings, at the time.
But I mean, I like the dynamic, because there's always one guy who's like yes to everything, right? And he's like, hey, like, and then you have like the confidence to believe, like super optimistic. And I think like as an entrepreneur, you need a guy who's like very optimistic, always looking forward, trying to like push, because if you're both pessimistic, like we're not going to take any steps.
Correct.
But if you get the guys, we can do it, like no guarantee it should be easy. Like right. Obviously it's not easy, but you're like let's just go forward. But then if you have a guy just super optimistic without like the checks and balances, he's gonna go too fast and get into a bunch of trouble. Right. But you have somebody who's like, hey, like let's take it a little slower. Let's balance this out. Now you're like, hey, like let's check this first before we make the decision. Now the combination of both you guys together makes like the perfect duo.
Right. I think for me, reading books.
Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
I'm a big book reader too. Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think that changed my mindset altogether. I started reading books like The Millionaire Next Door. Yeah. All those kind of mindset books. Yeah. After I was like, it makes so much sense, and I started doing listening up on podcasts, YouTube, and all that. So in time, my mindset got bigger, and we all can do it as long as we put our mind to it.
That's the thing too. Like when you're like at least when I was in my W-2, then like you just don't even like think it's possible, because like there's you, and then there's like rich people or like investors, right? It's such a huge gap. But then when you start to read books like, let's say, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, or some of these other books, like The Millionaire Next Door, or whatever it is, it slowly like kind of like transforms your mind to like what the world actually is and what's possible for you, I think. And so like once your identity changes, that's when kind of like the whole journey can really start.
Yeah, exactly. Because when we look back today, because every year we kind of look back on what we did, we reflect on what we did wrong, or our goals are. And the growth has just been extraordinary. I mean, just amazing. It's like we don't want to be where we're at then. And now we're just looking for growth every year.
It's kind of, I feel like I see this all the time with real estate investors, where there was a point where like you made a decision to become like a full-time real estate investor, or like go all in on it, right? And then from that moment, there was always like an exponential growth, and it's always like and even to this day, like we're both growing. And I feel like I had the exact same journey in 2019 when I started. Like my whole life until then was like a straight line, like, right. It's like
Exactly.
it's like, okay, I went to school, college, get a small blip. I working, I got a small raise, right? And then when I became an investor, like my personal like ability and like skill set, finance, everything kind of like went through the roof. But it was like kind of like it got jump started by real estate investing.
I agree. Yeah, and then last year he just retired from his
Oh,
W2.
congratulations!
Yeah, thanks.
So what were you doing before?
So I was actually one of the biggest Coke and ice dealer in the island of Maui.
Coke and ice dealer.
Coke and ice dealer, meaning the beverage side.
Okay.
Side.
Okay. I was like, whoa, I mean, it's like maybe you should retire. It sounds like a good business.
Yeah, so I think it was more making working with a lot of people on our the beverage side actually got us more towards because going into like auto stores and stuff like that, and they started seeing that okay, he does flip, he does know what he's doing, and that's where we started getting to, well, I started getting to have people contact me. I have a friend who's selling a house, or I have selling a house. So I had more of referrals than anything else.
So it's like an organic way of finding like deals.
Correct.
Wow,
It's kind of weird, but it works for us.
For like till today, we moved to the mainland. We moved to Vegas.
Okay.
And I still have people contacting me saying, "Oh, I have a property here that if you guys want it."
Wow.
And so that's the reason why we came back this past week on Maui for go check a couple 3 properties.
We try to come back every month.
Yeah.
I'm still a realtor as well in Hawaii, and then I got my license in Vegas.
Okay.
But it's weird because I told him when he left his job, watch, when we move, we're going to have all these calls. And sure enough, so we come back and forth.
Well, the thing is, like, it's really interesting because everybody has like their own unique competitive advantage. And so, like, for me, when I started, I was like a software developer. So I used like my software skills to try and like use that to get started in investing. Right. You guys have like you're in the community, you have like a job where it pushes you out, you meet a lot of people. And so that's kind of like your competitive advantage in the real estate world.
Yeah, and I think because we're still coaches at 101 Financial.
Okay.
I think that is the key for us is because that's where we get all of our private money.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, because their finances are in order and they know how money works, the banking system works, and they trust us because we've helped them along the way to get where they want to be. So I think that's a big key for us is our students and just knowing the financial side of it. Yeah, because if you don't know your finances, for us, I think that's the key is just knowing how to manage your finances and your money. Because you can be a real estate investor and pay off all your debt, but it's basically just putting bandage if you don't have a plan for it.
No, I mean, I see this all the time is the guys who are financially responsible as investors, like they're more like solid and secure. But there's a lot of guys, it's kind of like cowboys where like they're just, let's just go and like run and gun and like they make a lot of money, they spend a lot of money, but they don't know like where it's going and where it's coming in and out. So it's kind of like this mystery box where like they're kind of like, they don't have a good grasp of like their finances, even though they're making a lot of money. They could possibly be underwater. Like, we don't know, right? But it's just like the cowboy mentality.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Yeah, but to go back to how we started.
Okay.
He had a family home on Molokai.
Okay.
And it was a plantation house, really run down as well.
Okay.
His family home. So the mom was, gracious enough to, have him take care of it.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, how do we get the money, and this and that to fix it? So of course we use our HELOC, right?
Okay.
So we fixed it. And it took us about a year.
Okay.
For just,
So this was the very first fix and flip?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, actually we held it.
Yeah, we held it.
Okay.
We just held it because it's Molokai. Everybody's looking for rental.
It was the crazy thing about him was when, like my wife, she watches too much TV shows.
So
she went,
HGTV.
So she went off board and was like, "Oh, we gotta get this, we gotta get this, we gotta get this." So when we started having people come in to actually look at the property for rent, they were like, "Are you guys serious? This is not even. It doesn't belong here. It's just too nice."
Yeah, it's in Kuala Fu, so they're like, "No, it was a contemporary house in an okay neighborhood." Yeah, but we over-rehabbed.
Completely over-rehabbed.
We overspent, and we didn't vet our contractors. We just didn't interview them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, do you know this person can fix this and that?
Yeah.
And that, they took us for a ride on some parts.
Really?
Yeah. So live and learn. But that's why we went into mentorship.
Okay.
Back in
So after the first flip, you went into mentorship.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, yeah.
Okay. What was the first mentorship you guys went to before that?
Actually, our original mentorship was Allen Aquino.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
he-
okay,
yeah,
okay,
he was-
okay.
he was the
The
first
1-1 financial.
one-on-one
Yeah,
financial,
financial,
yeah,
yeah. He tells us, do this and do that. He kind of educated us on that.
But in order to actually grow your mindset more,
Yeah.
you need to get a more.
It wasn't focused on real estate investing specifically. It was
Right.
more like just like financial well-being and
Yeah.
like education.
Because he
Okay.
always teaches you can buy a property 5 houses 5 years, but I was thinking that's kind of like too long. So we just approach a couple other
So-
mentors that we wanted to actually learn more. So that's like I said, I was earlier like, oh, let's check out
Fortune builders.
Fortune Builders.
and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So we have that what the mentality was, what was that thing called? So you erased this part, right? But anyway, we had shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were doing all this and that, taking all these courses. But I mean, today it pays off, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody has different niches and things to teach you.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we're always
yeah.
open to learning. And
I think, I mean, that's what when I first started, I think there was like a big, at least I thought like education was kind of like a scam. Like, like that
Same.
people just like, they
Yeah.
want you to like, the courses are like 30 grand or whatever the thing. I was like, dude, it's such a scam. Like I can just find all this information for free on the internet, you know?
but it's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, so like, I mean, that's why I started. And so in the beginning, like, I think I just did everything organically, but at a certain point, I was like, actually, education is really helpful to kind of fast track you and also have like some accountability depending on the program that you're in. And there's a wide range of like low class programs and like high class programs, right? But like, I think like when you find the right program, the right fit and the right community in the program, it actually can like supercharge your growth as an investor or as a business owner.
Right, yeah. We started in 2018, but we didn't do anything for a year because we were afraid.
Yeah.
Nobody was holding our hands, so
Yeah.
Crazy.
he found this deal and it was too hard to pass up. So we just jumped in.
Yeah.
And that's the first.
And
2019 was the first time we ever used hard money.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, hard money and then some of our money too.
and that one too we kept
Okay.
that one. It was
So was that another burr? Like you guys?
yeah,
did
we
like
burned
a-
down
That was
also,
another burr, and that was another actually a great story too.
Yeah.
I forgot about that property, but anyway, yeah.
Well,
So he
yeah,
was a
every
referral.
property that I guess any investor does, they always have a story to it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but,
yeah.
Like this one was that was kind of.
But this one is actually similar to the Lahaina house.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our first
So
one.
it was like it's run down. You guys just beat up, and then you guys got it, renovated it. Any crazy things happen when you guys are in the renovations or closing?
Which is this one? The first one?
The first one.
Donald's one.
Yes.
Oh man, that's. So
Yeah. So this house was worth appraised at, he got it for like 400,000.
Okay.
And the lot is like 12,000 square feet lot.
Okay.
And it's
Okay.
4-bedroom, 2-bath, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
4-bedroom, 2-bath.
yeah, so
It's in Maui.
yeah,
It's
okay.
all in Maui.
so he wanted to leave. He wanted to go to Japan, to help out his wife's family. So he said, "Oh, you know what? Make me an offer."
Yeah.
And so I made him an offer, and then he said, "Okay, I'll take it."
Yeah.
But at the same time, he said, "Oh, can you wire me some money? Because I gotta buy an apartment in Japan." So we did. We wired him some money, so he picked up our property in Japan. But he came back because he said he had a couple more stuff in his house. So and the piano, he had a couple other stuff. And then my wife told me, "Oh, why don't we put him in a hotel? Put him close to the airport because it's only like 3 days."
Okay.
And then I said, "Nah, you know what? They live there. All this,
So we were just trying to help them out because they were moving.
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
it's like, after close, you guys can stay for like another
3 days.
3 days or so.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah,
So we was arguing about this. We was arguing, no, just. So I told him, no, let's just leave him there. And then she's, no, let's just put in the
hotel.
And so I told him, you know what, stay there. You can stay there. And I asked the wife, what are you gonna do with the piano? Because if you're not gonna do anything with it, I'm gonna donate it to the church.
Okay.
But she said, no, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna send it to my daughter in
Because it
Oahu.
was worth like 30 grand or something.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we
Okay.
did that.
So
And then the kick.
yeah,
is-
so
we don't normally share this, but
Yeah.
this is a kick.
so
They're cleaning out their stuff in there because it was a hoarder house too.
Okay, okay.
had me. I was cleaning out, I was dumping trash, and then had him and his friend, and then
in his room.
yeah, inside their room, and then he moved like one those, what you call those,
Nightstand.
nightstand.
Okay.
He moved the nightstand for 30 plus years. He's sleeping in there,
Okay.
and when he opened the nightstand, they were like this,
Box. Like a safe.
yeah, like one box safe.
Okay.
But it wasn't locked up though.
He opened it, and they're like,
Like $60,000.
Wow.
I mean, just the cash alone was like 60 grand. I mean,
Wow.
but
Old
he
coins
had,
and
had
everything.
old coins. You know those coin collectors?
Yeah.
He opened it up, and I was like, and I was carrying the trash, and I was like, wait, that's half of that is mine. that is half is mine. And he goes, and I was like, what? And he just put them on the bed. And I was like, they were counting it. So I grabbed one of the coins. I was like, bro, this is old coins. This is like the
Worth
old
a lot.
Hawaiian.
Wow.
And he had like one stack of like coin collector.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, he didn't know that was the grandfather's, because the grandfather used
wow.
to.
So he just never opened
He
that
never
nice
did.
before.
He never did touch it.
There.
Never
Wow.
did touch it.
He's been sleeping there for the father passed away a long time ago.
Wow.
He never knew that
I was like,
that money was
Jesus
there.
Christ.
You should just put him in the hotel.
$60,000. I'm like, oh my God, you know. But
That's
I
crazy.
mean, so we have a big. For me, I like
Yeah,
have a big
yeah,
heart
yeah.
where we're like, okay, so what we're gonna do, you know. So we ended up, you know, that's their money, you know. We never work hard. Our goal was to just get the house,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
as
yeah.
investors,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the end goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just.
It was like
a
a bonus, I guess.
Yes,
If we
bonus.
found it, it was a bonus.
Yeah,
But
that's really good of you
yeah.
guys. Though I mean, it's crazy because you're like, oh shucks, if
I
like,
couldn't use it for renovations, you
Yeah,
know,
plus two,
whatnot,
and
but
another thing
I
too
felt
was
bad, you know.
yeah.
the wife was a distributor for like one oil. What you
No,
call
and
it?
on top of that too, we found like all those expensive watches, Omegas.
Oh really? You guys
Yeah,
saw
like,
that?
he had
all that.
choke
I'm like,
stuff,
wow,
So
like-
did
know?
you guys, did he keep it or did you guys?
No, we
witness-
gave it. We gave
Okay,
it.
that's
Yeah,
it.
because you know, if you do
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get that back in tenfold.
Yeah,
So
I
we
agree.
truly believe
I
that,
agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it would have been a different story though
If he was
the-
gone, if he moved away and you were just cleaning it yourself, then that's all yours.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
still, I would still have this
Yeah.
conscience though.
Like,
I'm like,
oh,
okay,
good
what do
ass.
we do? You know, do we say
Yeah.
anything? Do we give it back?
Yeah,
Do
and
we give
another
back
thing too.
half,
Which
you
other,
know?
what was the oils that the wife was?
Oh, she was a doTERRA.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
doTERRA.
So she was on distributor,
Distributor.
and there are like boxes of those, like
Oh.
oil. And my uncle and me and my uncle we just was dumping stuff, right? And I was like, oh, what is all these oils?
could
I
have
kept
sold
on dumping
it,
it.
but anyway.
And I had like one suitcase, maybe like 3 suitcases and 2 small suitcase. And I told my wife, oh, we just went dump one whole suit, because my uncle would bring one small box home, and she's like, oh, Auntie, where you
Because
got
I'm
this
into all
from?
that stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, why did you trash it? You know, but
And my
Anyway.
uncle's like, oh yeah, we went through like 5 suitcases of those, like all
yeah, I
oils,
know, we
like
could have sold it, but you know,
whatever's.
too much.
Crazy. I mean, it's you guys. I mean, so like it's so crazy. Like when you're in the flipping game for like enough time, you're collecting stories, and there's always like these wild things that can happen, good and bad. Like and there's always ups and downs. Are there any kind of like negative or any kind of other like bad stories that have happened in your real estate journey?
Well,
There's a lot. I mean,
yeah, I guess I can just share one where, well, there's a couple, but so what is it called? They don't ever wish for something that you don't want to wish for.
Okay.
Yeah. And then one of our friends that we hang around with, and they had a hard time like getting rid of tenants,
Okay.
like squatters and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
druggies.
yeah.
And I always said, oh, you know what? How hard is it to actually get one of those? You know,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can get one of those out real fast, real quick,
Yeah.
because it took them like a couple months or something. And I was like,
Yeah.
like they said, don't ever wish for something that you don't want to wish for. So we got one. We got a property, and that was like a mess.
Wow.
It was a mess. It was a nice property, big.
It's kind of crazy. Like when a lot of times I think but it's really like to your benefit where you're like overly like unrealistically optimistic. I think, and like, but then it serves you well because I'm like, how hard can it be? Like I can do that, right? And so as long as you're willing to kind of back it up with some action, then like it's in the end you're gonna get through it. But it's like obviously it's gonna be harder than you think. But then like that initial like momentum or drive is really what's gonna kind of like bring you to to actually do it, and then kind of drive you through like the process, right?
Right.
So I mean, like you guys like took on like a I guess a difficult project over here. Any hiccups or anything like during the like that you want to share?
a lot of hiccups.
Man, the challenges like.
That was the first time ever that we took on that property.
Okay.
And I never wanted it in the beginning, but he was like, "Nah, how hard is it to get rid of bad tenants,
yeah.
squatters, and this and that." And let me
Druggies.
tell you, it was very
Druggies.
challenging. And on top of that, we had the moratorium because of the fire. So
Okay.
we couldn't just get rid of the bad
Yeah,
tenants
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Because they didn't have a contract or anything, but it's still, they have the legal right to give them a 45-day notice. They got served and everything, and they still didn't move out. So we had to figure out other ways to get them out. So
And you have squatters who's actually putting lien on your property.
What you mean?
So the same property,
Okay.
we got rid of the squatters, we got rid of the druggies, we got
Okay.
rid of, but the squatter was actually living outside of the property, and we put a lien on the property
Before closing.
Before closing.
Wait,
and
so
I-
how does somebody put like a lien?
have no
Because don't they need the owner to put the lien on? How does that work?
I'm not sure how that happened, but I guess he called the county and he said some kind of BS story and whatnot, and they granted him the lien.
$5,000 lien.
$5,000 because they granted him the lien. I think it's because we moved to Las Vegas. He sent a letter to our old address and we never received it. So a month later, he got what he wanted.
Wow.
But it came to a surprise when we were ready to close.
Yeah.
They're like,
At least it was only like $5,000.
Yeah.
I'll
It was
take
like
$5,000.
$50,000. I'll be like,
Yeah.
It's like cash for keys, basically.
Yeah.
But we were that caught us by surprise. We didn't know someone
That's
could
crazy.
actually do that.
Just put like a random lien on your house. That's
Right,
so
yeah.
so
that's
crazy.
insane. That was insane. I was like,
Exactly.
what? Really?
I couldn't believe it, And another crazy story about that house too is when we was trying to acquire it after. We had to leave on the utilities, right? Because technically they're tenants.
Yeah.
So long story short, the electric bill came and it was like $2,500 a month. So we had to get rid of all that. We couldn't turn off the electricity and water.
Wow.
The water was like, $1,000, I think.
Yeah.
So just like, what were they doing? Just running like nonstop.
Yeah, exactly. So it was, the holding cost was crazy.
Wow, that's crazy.
And to clean it up, how many bins you had? 16, 20?
No, I think like almost 20 bins.
What do you mean by bins? Like
Trash bins.
Trash.
You know, the long 40.
Yeah.
So
for the containers?
to clean the whole property, like 120
What you mean?
to clean it up. Because they had
120,000?
Yeah.
Just to clean it?
Yes.
I mean, just everything.
I mean, like overall, like to put the fence, to get rid of the cars.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a crazy
that was a crazy.
That's a
crazy
huge
demo.
amount of trash and stuff. That
was
crazy.
insane. I was like, and then because they had to bring in because it was like one drug house, so they had to bring in like special guys with suits and stuff,
like hazmat kind of stuff. And so,
And I was like, Jesus Christ,
and
really?
we had to hire off-duty police officers to patrol their property
For almost like a month, I think, a month and a half, I think was.
Wow, it's so. I mean, it's just another day in the life of an investor.
Right? Yeah, but till this day, I told him, you know what? I have no regret selling the property.
You know what the thing too though is like once you like overcome the challenge, now like you're just like a better investor and human because like when the next challenge comes, it's not gonna compare to that. You're like, I've done this one before.
Correct.
Like I can like your capacity has just increased. Like so for us, we went through like an eviction. It took like a year and a half to like get this guy out, or like we had to hire attorneys and everything. But now that in the beginning, like you don't know what you don't know, so like it just seems very scary.
It is.
But now that we've done it, I'm okay. At least I know what it costs or what the things. So like if it happens again, I'm aware and I can handle it. But like so now that you guys have gone through this challenge, the next like the things that you guys are going through, your capacity is just like going to be a lot higher.
Right, and that's what I told him. Okay, what's next? What's next? What can't we handle now?
Yeah.
But you're constantly leveling up, right? In as people and as investors.
Right.
So like as you guys are kind of like going through this journey, where are you kind of like headed? Do you think in the next like 2, 5, 10 years?
Well, we want to continue to grow our real estate.
Yep.
As of course our portfolio. So now that we had a couple of flicks and flips under our belt, I think we want to hold more properties. Especially in Hawaii.
Yep.
Yeah.
Appreciation and cash flow and all that. So. And we want to also get into multifamily, just to scale faster.
Small multi or large multi?
Maybe like a 16 unit.
Okay.
Small for now, and then hopefully get into like your level.
No. So are you doing multifamily here in Hawaii or in you guys moved to Vegas?
We moved to Vegas.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, what was the thought process to move to Vegas?
Opportunity there, and we wanted to try something different. And our kids they moved to Vegas, so we just wanted to be closer to them as well.
I feel like there's a lot of people in Hawaii who are moving to Vegas because, well, number one, it's a fun place to be, right? They call it the ninth island. So there's already a Hawaii contingent there, but it's also like way more affordable than Hawaii. So I think like the median home price over there is what, like 500-ish versus like Hawaii is like 1.1. So it's like a very big difference in like affordability and like cost of living.
And I think we just moved to Vegas, but I think that's our challenge, and because we're spoiled here. So we walked so much properties there.
We're like, I don't want to do one property and you're only making
the
20,000 to 25,000.
Very little. You have to do so much to get one here. So we're really spoiled with that. I mean, it's just a little more challenge. So I think we have to up our game in Vegas and probably start a luxury because we're more comfortable with the higher price points. Yeah, because it's the same amount of work versus a entry level versus like a luxury home, right? Kind of the same.
Can you explain that? That's a really interesting concept. Or can you explain that point?
Because we're so used to with the properties here that is higher in
the price points.
The price points is higher, it's double. Versus if you go into like an entry level home in Vegas, maybe 200,000, the profit margins is the same as if you go with a luxury house or something that is.
You mean the profit margin percentage?
Yeah, like say profit margin average is about 30,000 here.
Okay,
30,000 per house there for a flip.
Okay.
Same amount of work, same amount of stress.
Yeah.
Versus here, you get into the six digits, right? Yeah.
100, 200,000,
100,
right?
200,000, 500,000.
Yeah.
It's kind of
like for the same work, like what you're.
Yeah.
I found the exact same thing because I started in Indianapolis in out of state. 20, 30, like, you know, in equity. But then in Hawaii now, like everything is 6 figures or 6 digits. So like the same amount of work, like you said, but then like the return is a lot higher. So the ROI and your time and energy is just higher in Hawaii.
Right.
Correct.
But the challenge is when you go into like let's say like, so in Hawaii, median houses are like 1.1, right? So like that's just like everybody is buying them. So you have a wide pool of buyers over here. But then let's say you go into Vegas and you go into the luxury space, right? So now if you're 1.1 in Vegas, it's more luxury. Now your buyer pool shrinks, like your product is different. It's gonna be like a new challenge for you guys to kind of like to tackle in that arena, right?
Yeah, so we want to experience that challenge and
try,
go from there.
Yeah, we want to try to get into that luxury
it's probably
flipping.
going to be
Longer holding costs
time.
and things, bigger renovations.
Yeah.
I have actually some friends who are doing both in Vegas, actually, like the entry level and like the luxury. Some of them went from entry level to luxury, and like now they really love the luxury because they make a lot more money. A couple other guys, they went from entry level to luxury, they lost a lot of money, and they went back to entry level. So it's kind of like I see both sides of the coin, you know. So
and we figure if you know how to invest in Vegas, in Hawaii, you can pretty much
do anywhere
because of we're so used to a higher price point.
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, that's like one of the advantages again of having like a bigger challenge in the beginning is because when you face the other challenges, you've already done that, or it's not a big deal, right? So like the buying a house $1 million is not a big deal for us, right? But then like if you're in like Indianapolis, it's like 30 grand for your house, like you can buy a house, right? It's like $1 million house is like inconceivable. So
exactly, it's like, what do you need private money for $30,000? You know, but anyway, you get the point.
So as you guys are kind of like going through like your journey and becoming like better investors and people, are there certain things that you feel like you've grown in different areas?
Definitely. Personally, I think the biggest thing is your inner self too. You have to take care of that as well in order for you to succeed.
What do you mean by that?
Mindset, just taking care of yourself, because as investors we're so busy, sometimes we forget about ourselves. We don't have time for ourselves and whatnot. So that I think that's the biggest growth for me so far, is just learning more. You know, it's okay if things don't go right, or it's okay, and take care of yourself, because for me, health comes first before wealth.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you work hard, so you gotta play hard. So once in a while you gotta sacrifice stuff that
treat yourself and vacation.
You don't have to actually have the kids around to actually celebrate. You can always just run off somewhere. Yeah, let's go. Let's do this something.
Yeah. I think time for yourself and together, I think is a big key too. Yeah, celebrate along the journey.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the reason why people get into real estate investing is because they feel like it's like you don't have to do any work, right? You can make a lot of money and not do any work. What do you guys like? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, that's another growth for us too, is because people think people who don't do real estate, they think it's all rainbows and butterflies when it's not. Yeah, so we had to kind of just tune that out on what people, talk about and whatnot. Yeah, because it's hard when you kind of focus on those things, and it's like a distraction for us. So we try to just focus on just keep moving forward. And if you know that you're doing good in your heart, you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Plus, I think more so, it's just a connection between me and her. Is just I'm always all in, and I always have her say, you know what, let's do the numbers. Let's sit down, and I can see it. I see the numbers in my head, But sometimes you gotta actually have someone to actually tell you, okay, it does make sense.
Yeah.
But let's have it sense more on the paper.
Yeah.
So write everything down and get all your numbers correct, and then go from there, instead of just saying, "Oh, I'm all in," and next thing you know,
I think
what the hell happened?
Communication, it is a big part. Yeah, definitely.
Between yourselves or between other outside people, you mean?
Just between us.
Between us. With our business. Yeah.
Do you guys? Are you guys talking about business all day at the dinner table, at night? Like, is there any?
It's basically yeah.
Yeah, our whole family. It's always real estate.
Yeah. So I have my son, Justin. So he takes care of our social media and
oh wow, okay,
takes care of all our pictures, videos.
He's a videographer as well.
And then my daughter, we started having her actually do like pick up all the colors of the property that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
like
she's
the
the
design.
designer.
Yeah,
Okay.
we kind of throw in a little bit of that.
So I want to make sure that I can have them in the family organization where I can have one meeting somewhere in
Disneyland.
It's a corporate meeting or whatever you want to call it. You know, so I can
the perks of the
all-
business where
Yes.
the family is like it's vacation, but then you also can
Yes.
can do business.
Incorporate
So,
business.
yeah, write all that off. You know.
Yeah, because eventually, we're working hard for them. And it's for their future.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think it's like really hard to balance family and business together. You know, like
It
definitely.
It is.
I've seen it done really well and I've seen it done really badly. And like I think me and my wife tried for like a little while. We're like, no, this is not gonna work. But then you guys have kind of like, I want to say like figured out a way to kind of make it work. Is there any kind of advice you would give to someone else who like wants to work with their spouse or with a significant other?
Well, I believe that you gotta always be open with a spouse, and they gotta have your back, vice versa.
and I think expectations too. Like us women, we always expect things that we're thinking, but we don't tell our other half.
Really?
Yeah, I think expectation is a big thing, is a big role too.
When you say like expectation, you mean like sharing your expectations or not putting them too high? What do you mean by that?
I think for me, I just learned that I'm acts of service. So things.
Your love language
Yeah,
is
my
acts
love
of
language
service.
is acts of service. So I always like to, to help him make sure that my expectations are met, saying like, oh, did you call this person? Did you follow up with this person and all that? And I'm thinking that he already did. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
So when he does work, when he puts in work, that's kind of like your love language. So you feel
Yes.
love when
Yeah.
he makes the phone calls. When he
Service.
as a real estate investor, there's a lot, because like if you're not in real estate investing, the acts of service is like taking out the trash, maybe like mowing the lawn or whatever, washing dishes. But now as a real estate investor, like, hey, did you call the contractor? Did you visit the project? Did you do all these other things, right?
Did you do your spreadsheet?
It's
and
always playing in my head. Oh, what else she gonna tell me next? Oh man.
Yeah, so that kind of that's one example of expectations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when he was working a W-2, I basically did everything:
Yeah.
books, accounting, CPA, take care of the kids, and everything else.
So how did you guys come to the decision to have him continue working while you went and quit the banking job?
So for me, it was just more of we need it because people, that's how we get the referrals, yeah.
And I wanted him to stay at that job too because I still have that mindset of the steady income.
Yeah.
Income coming in just in case we don't
Just in
have
case we don't,
make ends meet.
Yeah.
And I always, when I quit my job before my W-2, we always get paychecks every 2 weeks, right? So
consistently coming in.
we know now that real estate is not instant gratification.
It takes a while, like the payoff,
it's a marathon.
right? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really healthy way to do it. Is at least have one person working, and like you're not putting all your eggs in one basket in the beginning. Especially in the beginning, it's such a slow ramp up. So like the money doesn't come in until maybe like 6 months to like a year later. So then like if you're not working at the time, you're gonna be struggling, and like you're gonna make bad decisions because you're at risk, right? But as long as you have like that safety net, the safety or security allows you to take more risk. So that now that you have the paycheck, okay, now I can let's spend this money on marketing, or let's do this things because I have the safety net behind me.
Right. Yeah. And then I think that's why we flipped homes in the beginning, just for capital, just so that we have that safety net. And then I think now we want to just hold more.
The long-term wealth building.
Yeah, long-term wealth.
I mean, I think when everybody first starts getting to real estate investing, we think buy and hold, like long-term wealth building, right? But then a lot of times it's like we have to start with active income first. So that's like wholesaling or flipping or whatever it is, because the active income drives the long-term holding. If you just go straight to long-term holding and you don't have a lot of cash, then use up all your money, then you're out of the game already, right? So it's important to kind of balance both, where you're getting active income and you're also having the passive income at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then the other issues we had was taxes. We had no idea about taxes. Oh my gosh. But that's another story.
So last question for both of you guys, or one each, but what's one piece of advice you'd give to like a new up and coming aspiring investor?
For me, I would say get all the education you need. Don't give up. Keep moving forward, because real estate is not easy. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. Every transaction is different. So I would say partner up with people, get the help you need, and don't be afraid to ask, and just keep moving forward, because the only person that is going to fail is you. So you have to keep moving forward.
Only person is gonna stop is you.
Yeah. It's all you.
Yeah,
Right.
that's really good
Yeah.
advice. How about you?
Yeah,
Estelle?
just you gotta ask a lot of questions, and you need to ask questions. Is the only thing that you can have is one no. But if you don't ask questions, you're not gonna have any answers. So just keep on doing what you're doing, and then basically just if you need more help with mentorship, there's a lot of mentorship out there. It might not be for you for some other mentorship that you're looking for, but there is a lot, and come check out Daniel, and
We don't have a mentorship,
network.
but yeah.
Yeah, network is a big thing.
go to
Community.
like a lot of meetups.
Meetups are really helpful.
So that's very helpful when you go to meetups, and just ask questions, ask away, because you know why? It's free.
Yeah, that's
It's a
true.
free question.
That's true.
Everything that you ask is just free.
That's true.
It's funny how you say network, and just keep your network as as best as possible. Community, because I was always an introvert,
Yeah,
and
same.
now when I go to meetups, it's like, hey, we just introduce myself, give them the stranger your number, and
It's
it's weird.
It's what you're passionate about. That's why, right? Like you're like
Right.
when you're like as an introvert, it's like you don't like I'm saying with me when I first started going to meetups, I was like I'm like so scared to stay in the corner. I don't have like anybody. I don't know anybody. Like I feel like I'm like a little fish and stuff. But then like once you start getting into, you're like, oh, I'm so excited and passionate about real estate. Like I can just talk about it all day. So now like when I go to meetups, like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like what do you got going on? Like I'm just like super like I'm really genuinely just curious about like these things, and it kind of like overcomes like my shyness, because I'm just like I love talking about like real estate investing,
Right.
So
Right, yeah, and you always gotta be the smallest person in the room.
you want to, yeah,
Yeah,
that's like good. That's like good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, if people
Yeah.
want to find out more about you or reach out to you, what's the best place to do that?
Probably Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah,
And your
Instagram.
handle is
Justo and Karen REI
okay.
at Instagram, and then just our names
Okay.
on Facebook. Yeah,
Facebook, yep.
we're in the process. This year, we made it a point to organize more of our business, our social media, and all that. So, and then when I reached out to you, I was so nervous.
Why?
I don't know, because I don't like the shine, the fame and all that stuff. So for me, I'm more on a down low kind of person.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm more on the humble side, and pull back and all that. But but I think now that we're learning all this, we have to be out there more present in the open.
It helps your business in like a lot of ways where like
correct.
the exposure helps with like finding deals with private money lending and like partnerships. Like people want to work with guys who seem like they're doing a lot of work. Well, obviously you guys are, but like it's nobody can knows until you kind of put it out
Exactly,
there.
yeah.
into,
So
like,
yeah,
the
we do
public,
bits
right?
and pieces, but I think this year one of our goals is to 10x that.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, thank you again for coming on. Super good time talking with you guys, and thank you.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.